Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for their Majesties, the King and Queen of Spain.
Your Majesty, parliamentary colleagues, distinguished excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is an extremely welcome case of third time lucky. Your state visit, and hence this occasion, was deferred from March 2016 due to political events in Spain, and then once again from last month due to the election here. It must at one point have seemed that you were never destined, Your Majesty, to appear inside this Parliament. I am very pleased, and so will colleagues throughout the Royal Gallery, that you are able to do so today. Your arrival is in many ways a celebration of the relationship, the strong and vibrant relationship between our two countries. That relationship, that accord, has been utterly transformed over the past 50 years. This is because, in large part, there is arguably nowhere in Western Europe that has seen so much change over the last half-century as Spain has witnessed. You are now at the very heart of European affairs and a shining example as a leader, not least in many aspects of technological development. While most British citizens might still know Spain best through tourism, the business community here in the United Kingdom appreciates Spain as an expanding market, while politicians of all party stripes regard you, and let this be said unmistakably and without fear of contradiction, regard you as a close partner and as a firm and candid friend. Irrespective of evolving institutional arrangements, for which, in particular, read Brexit, I am confident that that relationship will not change in the decades ahead. We are bound together. The influence of the monarchy has been at the heart of the extraordinary story of modern Spain, first through your father and mother, and now in the form of yourself and Her Majesty the Queen. It is a particular pleasure to introduce to my colleagues from both houses an individual with such wide and rounded personal interests, not least the fact that, if I may say so, Your Majesty, in common with most truly civilized people, you are a knowledgeable enthusiast for the sport of tennis. The belated timing of your trip, Wimbledon, week 2, is thus more a triumph than a tragedy. The success so far of Garbiñe Muguruza in this year's championship is a tribute to her and to her country. I am sure that colleagues from both houses will join me in wishing her well in the coming days. But, given the continued presence in the other half of the draw of Britain's Jo Conta, not too well. Statesmen and sportsmen have the weighty responsibility of representing their countries at home and abroad. As a member of the Spanish sailing team in the 1992 Olympic Games, your sporting prowess received thoroughly deserved and acclamatory praise. Now, as a statesman, your proven navigational skills are required to negotiate the stormy seas of international diplomacy. Your Majesty, your presence at the helm is both a source of pride at home and a reassurance to your friends and allies around the world. There is so much to cheer in the ties that bind our two nations. As far as this state visit is concerned, far, far better slightly late than never. It is an honour and a privilege to ask King Felipe VI to address us. Your Majesty.
Mr. Speaker, Lord Speaker, members of the House of Lords, members of the House of Commons, Madam Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to begin by expressing my gratitude for the extraordinary honour of addressing the British Parliament as part of our state visit to the United Kingdom. This Parliament has embodied the principles of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law for centuries, as have few other institutions in the world. Principles which form the foundations on which the political and constitutional structures of the most developed countries have been built. The Palace of Westminster is a symbol of the British people's commitment to the cause of freedom. In the darkest years of the past century, this Parliament faced the threat of totalitarian aggression with great strength of character, as did the people of Britain. Their determination and their faith in victory became a model of morality to be followed and a beacon of hope for generations of Europeans. The same strength of character, determination, and faith in victory will lead freedom time after time to triumph over any form of extremist or fanatical ideology which resorts to violence and terrorism and today threatens people's lives and their dignity. Therefore, in defense of democracy and the civic and political values that form the basis of our peaceful coexistence, I wish to recognize and praise the dignity of the British people have shown when faced with the cowardly terrorist violence that has recently struck this beloved nation. Today, in this House, which was also her house, I wish to honor the memory of the Right Honourable Joe Cox, who was savagely murdered 1 year ago. I would also like warmly to recall from the bottom of our hearts the other victims of attacks and their families. Among these, I must remember policeman Keith Palmer, who died defending this Parliament. Nor should we forget all citizens from different nations massacred in these barbaric assaults. As well, I would like to pay tribute to the Spanish citizen Ignacio Echeverria, who, along with many others, British or not, behaved in an exemplary and heroic manner during the attacks. I take this opportunity in this House to convey my solidarity with the British people and the solidarity of all of Spain. You can be sure of the unwavering affection of the Spanish people. We are your loyal friends and allies. Every craven terrorist attack is an attack on every one of us, because the victims belong to all of us, no matter their origin, their race, their religion, or condition. We owe them and their families our utmost respect, gratitude, and unswavering determination. Honourable members of Parliament, my lords, before you, the representatives of the British nation, I also wish to pay tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. In this year of her Sapphire Jubilee, Her Majesty is a key figure in the history of this great nation. Patriotism, statesmanship, devotion to her subjects, and enduring commitment to service have marked her reign for the benefit of all the citizens of the United Kingdom. Like other nations whose form of government is a parliamentary monarchy, the United Kingdom has achieved renowned levels of democratic, economic, and social development. And Queen Elizabeth has embodied and upheld this parliamentary monarchy in an extraordinary manner since her coronation. Her Majesty has been and remains an example around the world. For all these reasons, honourable members of Parliament and my lords, please allow me to congratulate you and all of your people on your admirable Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Kingdom and the Kingdom of Spain may have different forms of government. Our systems of law may have different origins and means of application. Our constitutions, indeed, may be written or unwritten. However, we have shared a great deal and continue to do so. We are two of the oldest nations in Europe and in the world. We are parliamentary monarchies based on a vocation and firm commitment to the plurality and diversity that enrich our societies. We have been the two major worldwide empires that stretched across the Atlantic with a global vision. Our languages are today the main means of international communication. In short, we have a shared history, and we are united today by the strong bonds of personal esteem and affection between our societies. Furthermore, we share respect for national sovereignty and the law, established through democratic process, which is the cornerstone of every state under the rule of law, guaranteeing the peaceful and harmonious coexistence of our citizens. In the spirit of these principles, I stand before this Parliament with great pride, representing the modern democratic nation of Spain, which is fully integrated into the international community, a nation with a profound commitment to universal questions and an undeniable engagement in Europe, the Mediterranean, and Ibero-America. In April 1986, 31 years ago, my father, King Juan Carlos I, was the first Spanish monarch to address this eminent institution, address underscoring the rich shared history of the crowns of the United Kingdom and Spain. 3 decades later, I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm the exceptional ties which have bound the Spanish and British crowns and continue to do so. Almost half a millennium ago, another Felipe of Spain, namely Felipe II, was proclaimed King of England by marriage to Queen Mary Tudor. And before him, Eleanor of Castile and Catherine of Aragon embodied the dynastic alliance that bound the destinies of our two nations for centuries. And in our days, I am also proud to be a descendant of Queen Victoria. Spain and England, the Kingdom of Spain and the United Kingdom, have indeed a long shared history, during which we have frequently stood shoulder to shoulder. We have done so as friends, as partners, and as allies, either facing international challenges together or by promoting a closer relationship between our institutions and our citizens in the best interest of our two societies. It is just as true, however, that during our rich and fruitful history, there have been also estrangements, rivalries, and disputes. But the work and determination of our governments, authorities, and citizens have relegated such events to the past. I am certain that this resolve to overcome our differences will be even greater in the case of Gibraltar. And I am confident that through the necessary dialogue and effort, our two governments will be able to work out towards arrangements that are acceptable to all involved. Honourable members of Parliament, my lords, until the present, the United Kingdom of Spain and Spain have both been partners in the project of European integration, which has brought considerable stability and prosperity to the region, one that may be said to be unprecedented in history. This project has also helped to enhance the existing rich fabric of bilateral relations between partners. Like in the case of our two nations, where bilateral relations have in fact reached a pinnacle in our shared history. The UK, exercising its sovereignty and its constitutional law, has decided to leave the European Union following the procedure established in the treaties. Although this decision may sadden us, and indeed it does, we fully respect it. The British government's intention to remain a strategic ally of the Union and to continue to play a decisive role in the security of Europe and the prosperity of its citizens offers us great hope. At the bilateral level, our governments must work with determination to maintain and even improve the network of relations we have built within the European project. This is something that our societies, which are so profoundly intertwined, truly demand of us. Given these circumstances, we must particularly bear in mind the thousands of Britons and Spaniards who live in each of our nations, who form a sound foundation for our relations. These citizens have a legitimate expectation of decent and stable living conditions for themselves and for their families. I therefore urge our two governments to continue working to ensure that the agreement on the UK withdrawal from the EU provides sufficient assurance and certainty. The shared aims of the United Kingdom and Spain, partners and allies on the global stage, are reflected in our two nations' close cooperation at the highest international levels. We should all take pride in this work, which demonstrates that the international community benefits from the combined efforts of the people of Britain and Spain, and that it can always rely on our mutual collaboration. In particular, I wish to express my sincere respect for the men and women of the armed forces of the United Kingdom and Spain, who either in UN peacekeeping operations or as members of NATO or under the aegis of the EU risk their lives to defend a freer and safer world. We cooperate in the global coalition against Daesh, in operations to support peace and security in Afghanistan, in Operation Sophia to combat trafficking of migrants in the Mediterranean, in the fight against piracy in Somalia as part of Operation Atalanta, and in the campaign to promote stability and development in a region ravaged by terrorism, piracy, and organized crime within the Friends of the Gulf of Guinea. Indeed, in today's globalized and interconnected world, international threats and challenges ignore all borders. This is why the work of the men and women of our armed forces around the world is crucial to peace, security, and freedom for our societies, as is the work of our security forces and intelligence agencies, which cooperate closely to guarantee our safety, to combat terrorism, and to prevent criminal activities. Honourable members of Parliament, my lords, I cannot continue without mentioning the strong yet flexible ties between our peoples, perhaps the closest in Europe. They are a testimony to the enormous momentum that defines our bilateral relations over the past 3 decades. As I mentioned, There are hundreds of thousands of British citizens in Spain and Spanish citizens in Britain. Moreover, millions of British tourists travel to Spain every year. Our citizens undeniably exemplify our strongest bond, a bond of affection and personal ties. This extremely rich relationship between our societies is matched by very rewarding economic and trade ties. Spain is one of Britain's primary export markets, and the United Kingdom is the second largest investor in our country. In turn, the United Kingdom is the primary destination of Spain's foreign investment and the third most important export market in the world for Spanish goods and services. Whether they operate in the banking industry, finance, transport, energy, construction, agriculture, technology, or communications, Spanish companies, whatever the size, play a key role in the British economy. They all contribute to the growth of this nation, generating wealth and creating thousands of jobs. Through cutting-edge technology, excellence and know-how, these leading companies have been able to firmly establish themselves in the demanding British market. In this regard, the United Kingdom's ambitious plan to modernize and extend its transport networks has created excellent opportunities in infrastructure. This has bolstered trade, technological exchanges, and cooperation between British and Spanish companies, and has expanded the capacities for transport by air, sea, road, and rail. There are indeed many outstanding examples of this fruitful contribution. Allow me a few words in Spanish. Sin duda, otro rasgo que nos acerca al Reino Unido y a España es el orgullo que sentimos por nuestra historia, nuestra cultura y nuestras lenguas. El inglés y el español, las dos principales lenguas de comunicación internacional, resultan esenciales para abarcar la complejidad del mundo moderno. Ambas demuestran una extraordinaria vitalidad que les permite seguir creciendo como herramientas fundamentales de comunicación, sea en la cultura, en los negocios o en el mundo del ocio. Esta vitalidad hunde sus raíces en una larga historia. En el año 2016 conmemoramos el cuarto centenario del fallecimiento de Shakespeare y de Cervantes, forjadores respectivamente del teatro y la novela moderna. Ambos autores son potentes símbolos de nuestra afinidad cultural y están en los cimientos de los intensos intercambios intelectuales, artísticos, culturales y deportivos que mantenemos en la actualidad y que tanto enriquecen a ambas naciones. Esa positiva combinación de historia y tradición y de vitalidad contemporánea se da igualmente en las universidades españolas y británicas, algunas de las cuales se cuentan entre las más antiguas del mundo. Hoy siguen siendo no solo centros de educación, sino auténticas referencias del saber, del conocimiento científico y de la cultura humanista en todas sus dimensiones. El nivel de interrelación entre nuestros países en el ámbito de la ciencia es muy elevado. Profesores y científicos británicos, españoles y de muchos otros lugares realizan aportaciones fundamentales que redundan en la expansión del conocimiento y el beneficio de nuestras sociedades. En este sentido, quiero también reconocer el mérito de los extraordinarios hispanistas británicos que han desarrollado una labor formidable durante tantos años, contribuyendo a elevar tanto el nivel del conocimiento y aprecio aquí por la historia y cultura de nuestro país, como la calidad de la investigación que sobre ella se ha realizado desde fuera. Ello ha generado también un gran interés en la sociedad en general. Honourable members of Parliament, my lords, our two nations currently enjoy excellent bilateral relations, among the strongest in our history. We now face the challenge of how to continue forward as partners, friends, and allies under the new circumstances, but always shoulder to shoulder at the heart of a free, democratic, and prosperous Europe. I am certain that the United Kingdom and the Kingdom of Spain will continue to work together and further the deep and meaningful friendship that we have forged together, driven by a legacy of robust bonds and a desire to build a better future of well-being and progress for all our citizens. Because, to conclude, as my father, King Juan Carlos I, said in this same house, we are two nations with every reason for understanding, support, and affection. Thank you so much.
Your Majesties, my Lords, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that was an enormously good speech, and I think you can feel the response from that here and how much it was appreciated. But first I would like to thank Your Majesty, not only for your speech, but to say how much we appreciated your words about Joe Cox MP, about PC Keith Palmer, and all the other victims of the attacks we have witnessed in recent times. We appreciate your words very greatly indeed. Some of us present here today will remember that occasion 31 years ago when we had the privilege of receiving your father, King Juan Carlos, and we all very much admire the personal role that he played in the restoration of democracy in your country. Your Majesty, as you said, in past years, our two countries headed up two of the largest empires in the world. And so, of course, it is true that our interests did not always coincide. I could put it more strongly than that. One of these paintings on the wall over there illustrates only too clearly this point. But that is only a snapshot, if something that large can be called a snapshot. On the other side of the Royal Gallery, we find a time when both our countries were allies, in particular in what we call the Peninsular Wars. But you, Your Majesty, with true significance, call the War of Independence, when we stood shoulder to shoulder against the Napoleonic forces on the Iberian Peninsula. And I think you may know that we have a descendant of the Iron Duke here in the House of Lords, and here today, the Duke of Wellington, who also proudly bears the Spanish title of the Duke of Ciudad Rodrigo. I hope I pronounced that correctly, and we're very glad to see him here today. There is one aspect of the modern closeness and friendship between our two nations. We do not always agree on every issue. Gibraltar is one which you mentioned, and of course that is right. But in so many fundamental respects, we are close together. In our different ways, we have both developed into democratic constitutional monarchies, which continue to uphold and respect the rule of law. The Queen here and your Majesties in Spain represent the underlying values of our respective nations over and above the everyday business of political debate. What is also true is as the years have gone by, the links between us grow stronger. Spanish is the fastest growing language taught in our schools in this country today. Sadly, I missed that out, so I missed at least part of your speech today, to my disbenefit. The United Kingdom was the principal European destination for Spanish foreign direct investment in 2015, and the United Kingdom is the third largest investor in Spain. And in terms of visits to Spain, something like 18 million British tourists travel to Spain each year, and hundreds of thousands of British citizens choose to live there, which speaks volumes, Your Majesty, for the friendly reception that they receive in your country. I know that this relationship will continue to grow and to flourish in the coming years, even as we leave the European Union. Most of all in this country, we admire and share your values. On the day of your enthronement, you said, "You will find in me a loyal head of state who is ready to listen and understand, warn and advise, as well as defend the public interest at all times." They are good and strong words which have resonance in any democracy. Your Majesties, it is a great privilege for us today that you have come to the United Kingdom. We warmly welcome you here, and if I may, I would like to close in the way which is traditional in Spain. Viva el Rey!